Hello. In this video, we are going to see about the newspaper, which is a contentious issue. Many aspirants see contradictory opinions of toppers regarding newspaper. So I will tell my opinion. I have cleared the UPSC mains of 2024. So I think newspaper reading helped me in that. About myself, you can read in description box. So, to understand the opinion and why I am saying so, we will also go through today's newspaper and see a demonstration of how I read newspaper and how I make it efficient so that it does not harm me and it benefits me instead. So, firstly, in a brief, if I tell you of my opinion on newspaper reading, then I will say that it adds value to your preparation, but if you are able to use it judiciously, because uh, what I mean by saying judiciously means we read it in time bound manner. So it is very easy to spend 2 and 3 hours on newspaper, and if you are not able to restrict yourselves to say 45 minutes at max, then you should not read newspaper. But if you are able to do that, and you can easily do that, and it is true that you don't need to spend even that much on newspaper on a daily basis. So that is why I say that I read newspaper and it has benefited me. So my opinion in short will be that reading newspaper is beneficial, firstly to understand the news, the current affair things that are going around in our country, and secondly it also helps us to learn the syllabus, which is very important for interlinkages that help us produce answers in an efficient manner in mains papers, because we can you see, in mains we have to write a lot of things and we are expected to know a lot of things. If we go on to remember a different data set for each of the topic, then it becomes very cumbersome and it becomes really almost impossible to learn all those things. So what we do is that we learn a limited number of informations, say 50 to 60 data facts, which can be used across the papers, and that can happen only if you are able to see a question and think in multiple directions and you're not restricting yourself to a single paper. So by reading newspaper, what happens is that when I look at any article, I become in a habit of brainstorming of where can I use that particular information in my GS papers. This helps, and reading newspaper helps in building this habit because we do it on a daily basis. uh, I also like to read newspaper because I like to stay aware of the things that are going on, and it makes it easy to learn. Makes it easy to learn current affairs from the newspaper from the current affairs magazines, because easy to learn magazine. So what happens is that in Vision IAS magazine, the data information that are given are very sort of mechanical, and we don't understand the context or the story behind it. So once I have read a particular news in newspaper already, then I know that why it is relevant and why it has come in this magazine. So it makes it easier for me to learn those data facts in from the magazine also. Otherwise, I'm not able to actually learn from magazine. It is also easy for me to just wake up and go through the newspaper. So that is why I do it. So let me demonstrate how I do it. So this is today's newspaper, and we will go through each and every article one by one, and we will see how I will approach the articles, and moreover I will also tell you how I pick up things from newspaper to add into my mains notes, because that is what I use newspaper for. I do not use newspaper for prelims purpose, because there are many factual things which we feel like we can add in prelims notes, but I have not been able to do that, and I think that it makes the process very cumbersome. But all I do is that I add a few pointers from newspaper into my mains notes, so that when the examiner, who will be in their suppose 50s or 60s, who will be checking our mains copies, they will feel that the things that we are quoting are relevant. They have been in news, and they might so the examiner might find such things interesting, and they might reward us nicely. So that is the what I thought when I started reading newspaper. So first news we have is that South India will not lose Lok Sabha seats on delimitation, says Shah. So this has been a news that has been covered thoroughly by the Hindu from past few days. Yesterday only, Mr. Stalin had said that delimitation will be a danger to South Indian states. So maybe to reassure him, our honorable Home Minister has said that it will not lead to losing of seats for South Indian states. So that is that, and that is why this news article has come. I don't think I can write it or quote it in my mains answer, so I just know about it, the story that is going on, and I'll leave it here. I will not even read these things or anything. I'll just read the heading. Next heading we have is that government questions petitions in apex court for lifetime ban on convicted politicians. Okay, so this is about the criminalization of politics, and a case is going on in Supreme Court. But I can go in detail, but as I see that this case is still in court and the judgment is not yet passed, so it is not relevant for us as of now, that we cannot hope to add some value to our answers. But anyway, I'll like to read about it a little, so I'll read the first paragraph. So what is it? I'll like to know about the case and who has filed the case, so just out of curiosity. So the center has questioned the logic behind the demand for lifetime ban on convicted politicians from contesting election or being nominated to parliament or state legislatures. Okay, so the person who has filed the petition is saying that there should be a lifetime ban for convicted people. So center is saying against it. All right, I'll not go any further than this. The next news we have is will not allow other languages to dominate Tamil Nadu, says Stalin. Yeah, so this is also a pertinent issue. This has been going on for the past few days regarding the new education policy and three language formula, and Tamil Nadu is saying against it. So again, the same article. I don't think I'll read it, so I'm just crossing it here. What is this image? Devotees gather at Triveni Sangam. Yes, Sangam image. Okay, nice, but not important for exam. And Bisht said to be elected deputy speaker today. So they are talking about the Delhi Assembly. Not important for UPSC. And the next article we have is Tamil Nadu CM trying to turn new education policy into campaign. Again, political news, not important. And here we have love for each other defies state borders. Okay, this might be useful in GS4 or GS1 in the society thing. So what is the news? Muhammad Ghalib and Asha Verma got married at Kayamkulam in Kerala in early this month. Hailing from Chittarpur in Jharkhand, they fled to southern states following threats. Okay, so this is an interfaith couple who are facing threats in North India, so they fled to South India. So obviously this is not useful in GS4. In GS1, if we can quote this anecdote as an example of that interfaith marriages is still not dominant in India, but I think this case is not very famous as of now, so I'll not write it. If it would have been famous like other cases are, like I think Shraddha Walker case, such sensational news, if it would have been there, then probably I would have written, but not this one. Ukraine, US agree on preliminary minerals accord. Okay. PSIR is not my optional, so I will not read it. Next news we have, and by the way, I am going through all the pages because I this is how I do it normally, so I want to show that only. And it is true that in on these pages we don't get a lot of information usually, but still I go through them because I like to see what is going on in news and how newspapers are framing articles. And sometimes we even get some important things from these pages also, and it doesn't take a lot of time. I just go through headings mostly, so that is why I go through all the pages. So here we have the heading that 6-time MLA Mohan Singh Bisht is all set to be elected as deputy speaker today. And the same news, not important. Won't stop chanting Jai Bhim, says AAP suspended MLAs. Not important because it is a political news again. And what we have in here, fire breaks out at cinema hall in South Delhi, no one hurt. Not important. I mean, if it was a big news, then we could have added it in disaster management notes. But since no one was hurt and it has not been in news too much, so not adding this as of now. Next news, man charged with murder during Delhi riots acquitted. Not important. Anyway, Delhi riots is a contentious issue, so no questions are going to be asked from this. Excise policy case, court directs ED to supply papers to accused. So this case is still in court, so not important for us. SAU students clash over fish being served on Mahashivratri. Okay, but this is a small case still, so we'll not read it, and I don't think it is interesting. I know what would be the case. They must be saying that non-veg things should not be served on Shivratri, but not important and not interesting also, so we will not see. What we have here, Haryana civic polls. This is about polls. Let's see what happened in that. BJP Congress go all out to win Gurugram mayoral election. Okay, so they are putting efforts in that. Results are not out yet. And anyway, it is not important for us. Next, rape inside bus in Pune stirs row over safety of women. Protesters vandalized depot. Such a sad case, but we have to remain objective over here, and even though it is very sad, we have to see that what is its use in UPSC paper, and I don't think it is very important. We all know that rapes are very prominent these days, and we are seeing a lot of cases. I don't think it is necessary to write about it in mains notes. Next news is that AAP's bipole pick sparks buzz over Kejriwal Rajya Sabha entry. Yeah, this has been in news, but not important for us. Next news, Tea Garden Land, Darjeeling MP MLA meet West Bengal governor. This case is still going on, so we'll see later. Uttarakhand minister remark is an inappropriate BJP MP. Political news again. Next we have is that trees axed for Kanwar Yatra route by UP government without final approval. FSI tells NGT. And FSI for Forest Survey of India. Okay, I remember that there have been questions regarding the role of NGT in GS2. So maybe this can be used for means notes as an instance of violation of orders of NGT, or whose orders were violated. Let us see. Thousands of trees were axed in UP to make way for new Kanwar Yatra route, not as per rules and without final approval, according to reports submitted to NGT by FSI. And a total of this much trees have been cut in Ghaziabad and these districts of Uttar Pradesh to make way for 111 km Kanwar Yatra, as per data provided by Public Works Department of UP. FSI was part of four-member joint committee constituted by NGT last year to ascertain whether trees were cut illegally for project. Okay, so it is not clear whose orders were violated, but we can use this in GS3 about the debate between environment and development, that we can write that trees are being cut for infrastructural development. Example, trees axed for Kamar Yatra by UP government. And other than that, so for marking it currently, we are circling it in different ink so that we can come back to it and add in our notes. Other than that, also I think it can be used as in NGT, that uh, its order get regularly violated. For example, trees axed without the final approval. So in two places in GS, one in GS2 and one in GS3, we can use this particular article. Next we have is that Shivkumar is in no mood to relinquish KPCC. Not important. Punjabi dropped from class 10 board exam draft norms by CBSE. This is just an allegation, so we'll not write it. In Sambal, residents hope for Ramzan uptake under the gaze. Residents are hoping for an uptake in economic activities, so nothing objective over here, so not important for us. Kerala police issues notices to Ashas as sit-in enters 17th day. Okay, Asha workers have been playing a major role in Indian healthcare system. So anything that is good or that is relevant regarding them, it can be useful for the social justice portion in GS2. So let's see, why are they protesting? On Wednesday, Cantonment Police in Kerala's Thiruvananthapuram issued notices to agitating Ashas and their supporters on 17th consecutive day of their sit-in protest in front of Secretariat. Protesting Ashas dug in their heels on their demand. Okay, what is the demand? Demand for a minimal income for subsistence. Alright, so this is the demand. They rejected the National Health Mission's directive to rejoin duty. The striking Asha announced a protest march to Secretariat. Alright, so we can probably write this in our notes. If a question is asked on healthcare system of India, so in way forward we can suggest, or in challenges we can say that condition of Asha workers is not up to the mark. For example, protest that is going on in Kerala for minimal income for subsistence. So let me mark it. Next article, tunnel operations likely to be completed in 2 days, Minister. So this news, the collapse of tunnel in Andhra Pradesh has been in news from past few days. So until and unless the operation is done, and we know that it will be done someday. So I've written this already when the news came on the first day itself. I wrote in disaster management. So, and the news is being covered daily. We don't need to read it daily. So not reading it as of now. Kerala coast to see protest against sea mining plan. So it is, when it will see protest, then we will see. But why this news has come, let us see. FCC comprising fishermen, boat and traditional canoe owners and several other stakeholder groups launched a 24-hour strike from midnight of Wednesday to midnight of Thursday in protest against this move. Alright. I think it is a very small news as of now. When it will become a little bigger, then maybe I'll note it. So not noting it as of now, but in case it becomes a big news, then I will again add it in environment portion of GS3, that uh, the that development is causing that development at cost of local communities is not worth it. For example, Kerala coast protest against sea mining plan. Okay, next. 9 persons drowned in 3 separate Andhra Pradesh incidents. Not important. ED conduct searches. Not important for me, at least as of what I can think of now. Next, population including of Muslims is stabilizing, says Revnath. Um, this is a political statement, so not important. Psychologist convicted of stealing baby from not important. RG car case, doctor's parents to meet CBI director in Delhi. I hope this case gets justice. But anyway, not important for UPSC. Professor who praised Godse, not important. Kolkata civic body revokes order on 2-day Eid holiday. So this was also a controversy regarding 2 days leave, but I read it somewhere else, not in newspaper. But it is anyway not important for us. Next news: mother of mass murder accused gains consciousness. Not important for us. Okay, so now we have come to the editorial portion. So today we have a leap backward for maternity entitlements. Maternity entitlements. Alright. What else is this article talking about? Let us see the graph. Estimated coverage of Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandan Yojana. Okay, so we are talking about this scheme, I guess. And what else? All pregnant women in India are entitled to maternity benefits, but most of them have not got a single rupee in recent years. Okay, so this article must be dealing about this particular scheme and maternity entitlements. For UPSC, this can be used in either GS1. In the vulnerable section we have women also, so there have been questions related to women, and in social justice also, with respect to the health system of India. But this article is about a particular scheme. But anyway, I think it is important, so we will come to it later and read it later. So we will read it. So I'm taking it as of now. What else we have? Water blight. Scientific risk assessment prior to undertaking tunnel work is must. So this must be about the Andhra Pradesh tunnel collapse. But I will not read it because we have other disasters also that are much more relevant and that are much more uh, probable to be asked. So I don't think I will read it. Also because prelims is closed. Prelims is closed. So I'll not waste time on it. Next article is the bigger tragedy is the railways and its systemic inertia. Okay, so this is about railways. It can be asked in GS3 in infrastructure portion regarding railways. So what does this article talk about? We don't know. Let us see this summary. Tragedies such as Stampede in Delhi will continue to be written off as unfortunate inevitabilities rather than preventable failures. Okay, so this must be about crowd management also. What other headings are there? The half truths. Okay, maybe this is about information or the accident being said and written off as an accident. Then conflicting statements. Okay, it doesn't tell us anything. Another flaw. Okay, it tells us nothing. Let us see the first paragraph to understand what this article is talking about. In the cacophony of religious fervor for Holy Dip at Kumbh, amidst bustling railway station crowds and ceaseless proclamations by Indian Railways about number of train services and passengers ferried to Prayagraj, lies an inconvenient truth. The approach to passenger safety and convenience is at best tragically outdated and at worst a harbinger of disaster. Okay, so we are probably talking about the safety of passengers, approach to passengers' safety. Okay, it is bitter pill to swallow, but swallow it we must. For the recent tragedy, the stampede at New Delhi has once again exposed the chinks in armor of Indian Railways. It has let bare systemic failures born out of resource constraints, but often indifference to basic needs. Okay, so I think this article will be more emotional than practical, and we are not going to get much data sets in this. So I think this article will be an interesting read, but just for interest and understanding, we can read it. So I will read it, but not add anything to our notes, maybe. But we will see later whether we need to add it or not. But otherwise, if I would not have been interested in this, I would have left it, because anyway it is a very narrow portion from which means narrow portion of GS syllabus uh, to which it refers, and there are very less chances that a question from this part will be asked, although crowd management has been in news this year a lot, so that makes it a little important also. So that is why I am going to read this article, so I am putting a tick over here also. And what we have on this left side: slow and unsteady influential criminal should not be allowed to evade justice indefinitely. So we are probably talking about the same petition that we read about on the front page, so I will not read it. Or is it about something else? Let us see. The adage that the wheels of justice grind slowly but grind exceedingly fine may be true, but there are times when punishment for crimes come so late that it is hardly recognizable as justice. The patience of a family's long wait for justice may have been rewarded this week when Congress leader Sajjan Kumar was sentenced to life imprisonment for the killing of a 50-year-old man. Okay, so we are talking about that case. But anyway, we know that our justice or system or judiciary has been very slow. So I'll not read it. On the opinion page, this article is usually about regional things, so I don't read it. Don't read it mostly. And here we have a message to district magistrates and the police. Former IPS officer. This might be interesting, and we might get the good examples for GS4 here. Let us see the gist. An FIR cannot be registered under Section 223 of BNS for violation of DM's order under Section 163 of BNSS. I don't know what they are talking about. Let us see the headings. Registering an FIR. Alright. Close the cases. Alright. This does not tell us anything. What is below here? Over 70% farmers still use cash to sell their produce. The share of farmers using electronic payments for agriculture related transactions rose from 8% in 2019 to 18% in 2024. Okay, and who has given this data? Let us see the first paragraph. More than 70% of Indian farmers still rely on cash to sell their produce, shows data from service published by RBI. Okay, so this is about this RBI survey, so it is important. I am going to note the major points of this article, and this will be used in GS3 financial inclusion, and in science and technology also it can be used for use of digital devices, increasing use of digital platforms, etc. I'll come to it later, but first we have to decide about this. So as I can see here, that a lot of codes has been written, BNS, BNSS, these things are written over here. So I don't think I will read it. I think it will take time for us to read the whole and read and understand all the sections which the article is talking about. And I think it is also more about the criminal justice system. So will not read it because it is a message to district magistrates and police, and we are not yet in service. So leaving it for now. So see, we have to take such decisions. That sometimes some articles seem that they might be nice, but then because of paucity of time, or because we think it will put a lot of pressure on our mental capacity, we have to leave articles. It happens on a daily basis, and we have to be like that. So we therefore have to keep telling to our mind that we cannot be comprehensive when we are reading newspaper. It is just that we go through it, and if something comes across and strikes the mind at the same time, of that it can be used in a GS paper, then we just note it. And if it doesn't strike us at that moment, then too it is fine. We leave it. We don't have to think think too much about it. So this article will come to this article later. So I put a tick here. And in text and context, what do we have? Money spent by government on court cases in a decade, 400 crores. And who gave this data? Up since 2020, barring two fiscals, according to data shared by government with Lok Sabha. Okay, we will note this also in our notes. So we in my notes I will add that uh, because of delay in justice, the it also causes a burden on government exchequer. Here, what do we have here? Bodies of hostages to be swapped for prisoners by Hamas. Again, unfortunate news keeps coming daily, but we can't do anything about it. We just read it. It is not important for UPSC. Next news, number of civil service jobs to be slashed in Hong Kong by 2027. PSI is not my optional, so it is not important for me. But why are they slashing civil service jobs in China? Let us see. Hong Kong's finance chief unveiled a belt tightening budget on Wednesday that aimed to end the city's string of record high deficits. Okay, so like Doge in US, Hong Kong is also doing something. Next, the US government's spending in the first month under Trump. This much? I don't think it is important. What do we have to do on his spending? Leave it. Next, proposed boost in California's film and TV tax credits. I don't think it is important again. Okay, so what is this? Why are PWDs worried about DPDP rules? What is DPDP? Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023. Okay, let us see the gist and then we will decide whether we have to read the whole article or not. So we have only one article today for text and context. What is it? Section 9(1) in clubbing children with PWDs has mandated that even in cases of adult PWDs who have legal guardians, consent for use of any personal data must be obtained from the guardian concerned. Okay. The legal guardianship for PWDs, while not mandatory, is governed by two laws in India. Our PWD Act 2016 means what did it stand for? I don't remember. But yeah, there was this act. A question has also come in mains on this act. And anyway, the NT Act 1999, both of which mandate different roles for the guardians appointed under it for adult PWDs. Alright. A small survey among 91 PWDs by policy think tank Pakta and Saksham Disability has shown that about 27.4% of them had legal guardians. Amongst those respondents who knew which law their guardianship was governed by, most said that theirs were under RPWD Act's provisions for limited guardianship. Okay, so I think this is about undermining the autonomy of adult PWDs. So we can PWDs or personal with persons with disabilities. It is covered in GS2 under social justice portion, and in the challenges we can write this aspect that the new draft rules of data protection act, it undermines the autonomy and decision making capability of adult PWDs. So I think this article details about what the draft rule says and how does the guardianship work and where does the conflict arise and what are the concerns that are being raised. So I will not go through everything uh, because I already have a lot of content on PWDs because I have my mains notes ready. I will only add this much what I have said. So I will just see this last paragraph to see whether my interpretation is right or not. So, given the way the consent clause has been structured for PWDs in DP Act and draft rules, some of the principal concerns that have emerged include those of what legal obligations would the guardians of PWD face. Okay, so there is concern about the guardians. What legal obligations? Wait. Legal obligations of the guardians of PWD face. What else? How the consent clause can be implemented in case where guardianship laws is in dissonance with the UNCRPD and whether the legal guardian can opt out of consenting on behalf of the user with respect to specific platforms. Okay, so this whole paragraph basically talks about this only, that legal obligations of guardians. Next, another issue highlighted by Saksham in their report has been that the concerns among PWDs about what fate of their personal data will be. For instance, the rights body has posited that to comply with Section 9(1), any data fiduciary would have to ask at least two questions: whether the user has a disability, whether the user had a legal guardian. In case where the answers of the first question is yes, but second is not, the platform will still have data on person's disability with no purpose to process it. Alright, so this sounds a little technical. Next, further Saksham has questioned that if definition of data principle includes the legal guardianship of PWD, would that then mean that they must take on the full legal responsibility and face penal consequence under the Act? So this is again related to the earlier argument that what legal obligations they would have to face. Would they have to face penal actions also? It has been argued that if this is the case, the legal guardian may at times be acting in their own interest instead of PWD they are caring for. Yeah, so I was focusing more on this aspect actually, but they are not so cynical about the guardians as I was. What else? Moreover, experts working in the disability sector have pointed out that beyond all of this, the primary barrier to PWD's digital rights remain that of inaccessible platforms and applications. According to a 2023 accessibility evaluation conducted by the Vidhi Center, of 10 most used apps, platforms like Paytm, Swiggy, Zomato have low accessibility scores. Alright, I was thinking of adding this particular point, but after reading this last paragraph, I feel that these are very technical issues. Moreover, the bill is still a draft bill. it is a draft, so I will not add it as of now. I have just read it that there are some worries about the data of persons with disabilities, but once these drafts are finalized, then we will see it. So we are leaving it for now. Next, we have why the south of India is no longer impervious to the saffron march. Usually, this page of text and context is not very useful. Sometimes it gives some articles which are relevant in essays, but this specifically sounds very political and very opinionated, so we will not read it. And I do read this quiz many times, but not today because we are recording this video. And then we have news. A whopping 1.4 crore people take holy dip on Shivratri as Mahakumbh draws to a close. Oh my god, this is such a big number. But not important for UPSC, but imagine our population is around 150 crores and 1.4 crore people on a single day took dip. So it is such a big feat that we have accomplished. Kudos to the administration who have managed this, although there have been mismanagements also, but still it was a very big task. And now the Kumbh has come to an end finally. Anyway, let's move forward. CBI seizes crypto worth 24 crore in Bitcoin scam. Okay, we can use this in GS3 security portion regarding the cryptocurrency scams, but I'll not add it because such news is very common and it comes almost daily, so not adding it as of now. Communal violence flares up in Jharkhand's Hazaribagh over Mahashivratri celebrations. So unfortunate, but we have to remain objective. Army vehicle fired upon in Jammu and Kashmir, Rajouri. No casualties. Alright. Again, unfortunate, but we cannot write it. Trump's Russia-Ukraine policy hangs over EU-India talks. So it is by Miss Suhasini Hadar. So it must be an interesting read, but PSIR is not my option. So it is not compulsory for me to read it or add it into my notes. But we can read it for our own understanding. So I will read the first paragraph about what they are talking. Stung by the shifts in US foreign policy, particularly on Russia-Ukraine conflict, the two-day visit by President of EU, Miss Ursula, and 21 EU commissioners beginning Thursday will send a message that Europe is shoring up other partners, including India, as much as they focus on the task of resetting EU-India ties. Alright, so once the talks finalized, then only we can come to a conclusion. I will not read it further, at least in this video. I might read it later. Okay, next. Months ahead of polls. So it is again about polls, about the reshuffling of Nitish cabinet. Yeah, I saw this in news yesterday. What else? 2 board exams aim to provide a chance to improve performance, CBSE chair. Yeah, so yesterday there was news that CBSE has proposed to conduct 2 board exams. This was mentioned in new education policy also. So it is still in a proposed stage. So once it progresses further, then probably it can become important. But even after it is accepted, it is not very important for UPSC. Not much questions have been asked from this thing. And then we have SKM welcomes Punjab Assembly's resolution against government's draft policy. Political news not important. Public Accounts Committee should examine CAG report on excise policy, says Congress. So because it is about CAG and there have been questions on Controller and Auditor General in GS2. In fact, in 2024 also there was a question. So I noted about the CAG report. It was in yesterday's news also. So I had noted yesterday only that the CAG has flagged the not very flagged that the implementation of the excise policy of New Delhi was not very proper. So I have noted it as an example of the working of the CAG. Nothing more than that. Next, we have a small news article over here, but I'm sure it is a political news, so not reading it. And we have panel seeks penalties to end proxy rule by male kin of women panchayat leaders. It is a good thing. We need to stop this panchayat pati phenomenon. But panel is only seeking penalties and it is not yet approved. So once it is approved, we will write it in our notes. But let us see what else is there. Without detailing the exemplary penalties, the panel has recommended a multi-pronged strategy involving policy interventions, structural reforms, and technological solutions for better monitoring. Okay, all right. So as I said, that only a suggestion has been given. So we will not write it. And even it is not in a proper report form of, it is not a committee recommendation, so not important as of now. CBI trying to tarnish Abhishek, not important. And here we have in brief news, will all join protest if government implements labor codes. What the hell? But yeah, okay, alright, not important for now. DRDO Navy conduct flight test trials of anti-ship missile. This can be a prelims news, but as I told you that I only read newspaper from mains perspective, so I'll not read it, neither I will note it, because I don't find it interesting, honestly. I'm not interested in army and its weapons, sorry. Next, NAC removes 900 peer assessors from evaluation duty after detecting irregularities. Alright, so this doesn't sound good, but not much questions have been asked from the higher education and the role of NAC evaluation and rankings. So, not important for UPSC. Cancer related mortalities increased faster among women in past decade. Oh, okay. And what kind of report is this? Approximately 3 out of every 5 individuals in India die following a cancer diagnosis. Additionally, who has given this report? Let us see. What is found an analysis by ICMR based on figures presented by Global Cancer Observatory estimates. Okay. So we can write it in GS1 women portion that they are more prone to diseases. So I will write it. I'm circling it. We have economy news, from which I usually don't note anything, but let us see. India singles out VW in 1.4 billion tax dispute, says Kia corrected course. So VW I think stands for Volkswagen, as we have the symbol here. So it is about private firms, not important for us. EU says ready to address India's specific concerns or carbon tax levy on imports. That is nice. They should listen to us. So it has only given a statement as of now. So once it takes any concrete action, we will note it in our notes in GS3 environment portion. PSB drive infra bond boom. Public sector banks drive infra bond boom. Okay, good for general knowledge, but not important for mains. SpiceJet reports this much profit, not important. In brief news, let's see. Wipro commits to invest 200 million in Wipro Ventures. Okay, not important. Recycle Karo expands e-waste recycling capacity threefold. Okay, this sounds like a good case study. Let us see. Recycle Karo, which is into e-waste management and lithium-ion battery recycling, said it has increased total e-waste recycling capacity to this much tons annually and its facility in Palghar near Mumbai. While e-waste recycling capacity has been increased from this much to this much, battery recycling capacity has grown from this much to this much tons per year, company said. Okay, so for waste management in GS1 urbanization also and in GS3 environment also, we can use this particular news article as a way forward. We can use that new startups are coming up for waste management. For example, Recycle Karo, which has expanded its e-waste capacity recently. Next, RRP to buy chip packaging tech from Deca Technologies. I don't think it is important. Let's move. Demand for compact luxury homes rising in Mumbai's Dadar. Of course, it is rising, but it is not important for us, so we will leave it. Now we have international news. So this is the last page. After that, there is the sports page, but I don't read it. So this is the last page for us. Okay, we will see the big articles only. Russia, US envoys to meet in Turkey to discuss the operation of embassies. Okay, so we know that Russia and US are talking a lot these days. So okay, this is a thing that is going on, not important for me to write in mains notes. Ukraine can forget about joining NATO. Oh my god. So this is almost certain that Ukraine will not be served justice as it was expecting when Biden administration was there. So anyway, when the final decision comes, we will see that. Next, 46 killed as military jet crashes in Sudan's residential location. Again, so unfortunate. So much of deaths are being caused in Sudan daily. We see the news daily. But anyway, it is not important for us. Indian peacemakers serve with commitment. UN. That is nice. This can about peacekeepers. I don't think many questions have been there, but this can be quoted in our notes in theme of India emerging as the Vishwaguru, that Indian peacekeepers have a good image, that they serve with commitment as stated by UN. Let us see who in particular has said this. Indian peacekeepers are present in most of our peacekeeping missions and they are serving with commitment, the Under Secretary General for UN Peace Operations, Jean-Pierre Lacroix, said on Wednesday. Alright, so I'll add this. Whenever there's question related to India being Vishwaguru or India being the voice of global south or anything that glorifies India's international initiatives, I can quote this statement because it is a recent one, that Indian peacekeepers are serving with commitment and they are present in most of the UN peacekeeping missions. Alright, so let us see how many articles do I have to add in my notes today. One over here. Let us mark that in altogether different ink. So let us also make it thicker. We have one article, second one here, third one over here, We had cancelled this one, so this we have to add. So fourth here, and we can read it, but not for adding anything. We can just read this particular article for fun. And fifth here, because it can be asked in GS1 regarding women, and in social justice also, in health also. So this one, and this one, trees asked. Yeah, so that is it for today's news. And let me also show you how I add things in my notes. So for example, the news piece here is that trees asked for Kamar Yatra, and I had thought that this I will add in my GS3 news regarding environment versus development debate, and also in the challenges to the NGT, to the working of NGT. So I'll probably add it in GS2 notes only, and if I'll revise it again and again, I will remember it to quote in GS3 also. So let me show you my notes. So this is the Apple Notes which I use, and I have these folders over here. So I have, as you can see, that I have folders for GS1, 2, 3 and 4 here. So I will go in GS2 folder, and here sometimes also I paste the clips of those screenshots of those articles when I don't feel like reading it. But most of the times I do make notes out of those articles, like you can see here. So I have to go in NGT, wherever I have written about NGT. So let me search NGT. Okay, yeah, so I've already written these two things about NGT. So I'll add one more thing. Let us see what I had written earlier. NGT suo moto action, cognizance of newspaper report that UP government planned to cut. Okay, so this news I had already covered earlier. Okay, alright, so I don't need to even write it. So NGT had taken suo moto action, and let us add further here only that criticism, or rather we should write challenges. Its orders were flouted. And if I want to refer to this news again, let me also mention the date, 27 Feb 2025. Alright, so see, this is how my notes don't get very large, because some news keep getting repeated, and I also revise in this way. So those news articles get ingrained into my brain even if they are not very interesting or relevant to the media. And then, so let us count again how many things I had. So see how such a small time it took for me to write this much in my notes. Only this much I note, so that it is quotable in my answers. And anyway, if I am not able to understand my notes, if it is written in too brief, then I can search it on Google, and I get the access to the articles, what was the whole context. Okay, I forgot about this one. Kerala police issue notice to Asha. So I will add these things in my notes later, and I will also read this editorial over here. But this video was about the demonstration of how I read articles and how I add those things in my notes. So that has been done, and it remains for me to read this article and extract a few data points from this article, and also write the articles that I've circled in my notes. And that's it for today, and I hope I was able to convey whatever I wanted to say. So thank you and bye.